And hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents here on Amazon Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. Appreciate you guys joining us over on Amazon Live, as well as those who are tuning in on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, as well as LinkedIn. We appreciate you guys being with us today. Our guest is Kanan. You guys know him as an actor as well as an author. His new book is out now. It's called Way of the Cobra. If you guys are joining us on the Amazon Live side, you'll notice there's a carousel down beneath us here. It has both the paperback and the Kindle edition of Sean's book. You'll be able to click on that and be able to get it through our conversations. And this is a great one. Sean and I have been talking for a while since his very first book, actually, was our very first conversation together. Had a chance to meet up with him in Los Angeles as well. He's had a lot of great projects going on. But Sean, so glad to have you on with us. Really appreciate the time.
It's so great to see you. It's been a while.
It has been a while. I have not been to Los Angeles since the pandemic. I'll be making my first trip in April for the first time in 2 years. Yeah. So look, man, so let's talk about Way of the Cobra, because
Sure.
I think this book is so you in that you give us a slice of your personal journey, but also I think some great lessons for your fans and those who may be picking up the book looking for some direction. What has it been like for you, Sean, to see the response to it already?
It's been really incredible. I receive messages from people all over the world, literally every day, telling me that they are having amazing paradigm shifts in their life, that the information in the book is helping them smash through their obstacles, achieve their goals, and it is so incredibly rewarding. One of the things I talk about in the book, and I won't, is your why. What is that thing that drives you? What's that thing that gets you out of bed in the morning, that picks you up off the ground when you've had your ass kicked, and when life gets tough, which it always does. And for me, one of my biggest whys is inspiring people. I thought that I originally became an actor because I wanted to have a voice and I wanted to express myself. But as I've gotten older, I realized I really got into acting because I wanted to inspire people. And as I got further down the road, I realized that acting was only one conduit with which I could do that. And now with my writing, it's opened up this incredible new world for me with motivational speaking and coaching. And, people really seem to be taking to this book, and it really seems to be resonating with them.
And I've been saying that, Sean, especially on social media. Of course, people follow you on there because of these amazing acting roles you've been able to be, both characters that people love and characters people love to hate, right? And sometimes in between.
Right.
But I think the fact that you have been able to use your platform to motivate, to inspire, to uplift people, I think is so powerful. So I want to talk about fear, because one of the things that I knew I wanted to talk about in this conversation with you is that so many of us, Sean, we try to control our lives, right? We try to control the way things happen. You actually say something really interesting in the book. And for those who have the paperback edition of the book, it's found on pages 52 and 53. And you talk about this when it comes to control, Sean. You say, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Control is an illusion. It doesn't exist. And I think that is a big epiphany for a lot of people, especially when things are naturally out of their control. How powerful has that been for you to realize that there are things in life that really are beyond your control?
Well, first of all, if you want to disabuse yourself of the illusion that you're in control, all you have to do is go outside and look at the sun, which is a dying star, which is someday going to go supernova and suck our Earth into it, and it's going to go bye-bye. So we're not in control. The only thing that we have control over is how we respond emotionally to different stimuli. How we behave in different circumstances. One of the most powerful things to learn is that when you stop trying to control other people, you wind up with a much better chance of obtaining the results that you want. Have you ever noticed that when you try and assert your will on another person, the exact opposite from what you want generally happens? They recoil, they pull back, they feel that they're being manipulated or controlled. And if you just worry about yourself, if you just worry about how you are going to react emotionally to any situation, that's truly the only thing that you can control.
Yeah, such a great point. And we're going to talk more about that. I want to say hello to you, Serene, over on the Amazon Live side. Appreciate you being with us. Also, JLH, welcome to you. JLH says, Sean, we have control of our lives even in the most difficult times. I think, for so many people, though, especially as we're kind of looking at the world right now, Sean, a lot of people feel helpless. One of the things you do in way of the Cobra, though, it shows us how we can be empowered. How did that help you? That shift of realizing that life wasn't just happening to you, that you could have your own role in the world and make an impact on the world.
That's a really good point. So many people unfortunately live their lives in a state of inertia. And by that, I mean, they're kind of like, a dried leaf in a creek winding its way down. And, the direction is determined by the flow of the water and the rocks that they hit. And,
Mhm.
and they're not really acting as the source for propelling their life. Okay. And, as I said, control is an illusion, but that doesn't mean that you can't do lots of things to work towards achieving the goals that you want. And,
Yeah.
it's like to quote the gloved one, I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I mean, it's like it all starts with you and doing the internal work, getting clear on what it is that you want to achieve, breaking it down into actions, and looking at potential obstacles and solutions to overcome those obstacles. And we all deal with failure. We all deal with times when we feel like we're taking one step forward, two steps back. But one of the most critical things to achieving success is consistency. And if day in and day out, you are constantly seeking to improve yourself in every way possible, over the long haul, you're going to achieve your goals. It might not
Yeah.
happen on your timetable. It might not happen exactly in the way that you want it to happen, but you're going to achieve what you want out of life.
Yeah. Serene says, so crazy. Grew up watching you play AJ. Serene, Serene, appreciate you watching it on the Amazon Live side. Sean, to the point you just made, I think that brings us to another thing that you mentioned in the book that I hope our audience gets. Hello to you, Melissa, on the Facebook side. And that is one of the things we can control is association, both offline and online. You talk about the people to surround ourselves with
Yeah.
that can help us, but also what we should be able to avoid. And you're in an interesting place in your industry that it's not always easy to physically separate. But how important is that for you to protect your peace? Because that is one thing that we can do, right? When it comes to what we bring into our space, who we allow into our space, who we're listening to, and who we allow to shape our thinking about ourselves and the world. How important has that been for you, both personally and professionally?
Well, I think a lot of people have heard that saying, tell me the 5 people that you spend the most time with, and I'll tell you who you are.
Hmm.
And, look, if you're hanging out with, 5 losers on the weekend, getting loaded every weekend, sleeping into 11, not doing anything, you're about to become the 6th loser.
Yeah.
Look, it all boils down to character. It all boils down to having a clear idea of who you are, a clear set of values, and things that you won't accept in yourself and things that you won't accept in other people. And when you apply that, you find that you start surrounding yourselves with a higher quality of people. And if you're surrounding yourselves with like-minded people that are trying to achieve their goals, that are on the path, that have emotional intelligence, that are asking questions about themselves and are trying to improve themselves, then you're surrounding yourselves with like-minded people that are all moving in the same direction. They may have different destinations as to what they want to achieve, but they all want to better themselves. And it's so important. Listen, I think anybody who has a handful of close friends is a lucky person, but in life, we all have lots of acquaintances.
Yeah.
And some of these people are wonderful people, and others are people that are still trying to figure it out. And as we get older, you realize that time is such a precious commodity. and that you really need to be judicious with who you choose to share your time, because so many people, and myself for a long time, you assume that we have this infinite amount of time and you'll get to it, and it's not a big deal wasting time because there's tomorrow. Well, tomorrow is never a guarantee, and so I really am a firm believer in living in the present, making the most out of every single day, and part of that is being very careful with the people that you spend your time, because everyone is influenced, and sometimes it's pernicious. Sometimes you find that you're hanging out with some people that seem like they're caring, and they are decent people, but they really aren't working towards doing anything. They're really not working towards bettering themselves and making the world a better place, but it takes a while to realize it. Now you've kind of wasted time. So be careful with who it is that you choose to give your time.
Such a great point, Sean. So many valuable points in this book. We're going to get into some more. I want to say for those who are just tuning in, though, either on the Amazon Live side or one of the places we're broadcasting, you're watching Cyrus Represents. Excited to welcome Sean Kanan to our program today. Sean and I have had other in-person conversations. This is his first time here on Amazon Live. Want to invite you guys to get his newest book. You guys see it there, Weight of the Cobra. If you'll notice, if you're joining us on Amazon Live, I should mention, if you're joining us on your mobile device, it may be over here on the side. If you're joining us on your desktop or laptop, you'll notice down below, you'll see both the paperback and the Kindle edition of Sean's book there. So definitely be able to click on it. You can read more information and also purchase your own copy of it. Sean's going to let you guys know how to stay connected with him as well. On YouTube, Rebecca says, hello to you, Sean. She says, go Cobra. And on the Amazon Live side, Stacy says hello to you and wants to know what made you go into acting. So we're going to get more into Way of the Cobra, but let's go ahead and get into Stacy's question, because you do address your acting journey in the book.
Sure.
What was it about acting that appealed to you, Sean?
So, as an awkward, insecure young kid growing up in a kind of hard-scrabbled steel town in Western Pennsylvania, I frequently found myself the target of bullies. And one of my greatest refuges was our local movie theater. And so when I was there, and whether I was watching Clint Eastwood as the outlaw Josie Wales, or Sylvester Stallone as Rocky, or Obi-Wan Kenobi, I didn't realize it, but these actually became my earliest mentors. But in addition to that, I became completely mesmerized with the spectacle and the power of film. How that flickering light on that 30-foot screen in front of me just drew me in, and I saw the power that it had to convey incredible emotional messages. And I didn't know it at the time, but it really planted the seeds for me to want to become an actor and to do that. I fell in love with film at a very young age, and I began doing plays, and eventually took some acting classes in college, even though I was a political science major, and ultimately made the decision to move out to Los Angeles in May of 1987. And I kind of never looked back.
And now here you are again, being able to bring to life some powerful roles, but also to be a powerful force. I want to talk about another aspect of the book, and I made some notes for myself, Sean, because I think what's been great about this conversation, Sean and I didn't script this at all, but I love the way that what you're talking about kind of flows into some of the big points for me. One of the things that you write about and you spend some time on in the book is another big one for all of us, but especially in your industry, and that is patience. I think for so many people, Sean, the reason why they give up on their own personal greatness is because of the time, the effort, the energy that it takes. Did you know going into this journey that it was going to be a marathon and not a sprint?
Well, first of all, I have to confess that patience has been a challenge for me throughout my life. I'm one of those people that, wants it right away. I've really had to self-discipline myself and recalibrate my understanding of what it takes to do certain things. Patience is critical. in achieving any goal, lots of times you're going to experience quote unquote failure. And, we've all heard the analogy or the cliche advice that failure is a teacher, but it's true. But the combination of learning from our quote unquote failures and applying consistency and recalibrating, reassessing, adapting, and then getting back into the pursuit of the goal is really the secret to achieving it. It's almost a loop. It's a loop where you're sort of doing a constant self-diagnostic to see what's working and what's not working. And that process requires patience. And patience is difficult. We live in a soundbite-esque type society where everything happens quickly. Communication now is at the speed of almost light with, the internet and how it is completely brought the world together and watching TV and everything like that. And sometimes we need to take a second and realize that achieving the most important things in life are frequently and most often a process that requires time, and time requires patience.
Mm-hmm. It does. And you really take on the role of teacher throughout this book. Before we get into what I want to read about patience, what you wrote, some great tips for us, Sean, let's talk about the title and your role in this, because you really do take the role of the instructor, so to speak. So talk to us about Way of the Cobra and how you see yourself as a guide for us throughout the book.
So Cobra is an acronym formed from the words character, optimization, balance, respect, and abundance. And the book is set up that you are a student in my dojo, the dojo of life. I'm a sensei, which means teacher. And the chapters are divided up into belts. And it just seemed like a user-friendly way of doing this, with my history of being a part of the Karate Kid universe, my background in martial arts. The book is in no way geared towards people who have studied martial arts, and you don't even have to be a fan of the Karate Kid movies. This book is absolutely for everyone, but I know how much I gained from the relationship of being a student in martial arts and having a sensei, and I thought that it was a good construct to use, and I think it's worked out really well.
Yeah, I love that, because you do, as I mentioned earlier, Sean, you're not afraid to be vulnerable. I've noticed this from my very first book, your gentleman book, that you give us a tough love, but you are able to do it in a place of love. And even in this book, it definitely comes through. You give us, the good, bad, and the ugly. You talk about all of us have a dark side. All of us have these things that we have to be able to work on. But the fact that you don't make that an excuse for us or anyone, I think is so powerful.
Well, I want to say two things about that. The first is that before any of you think that I'm living on top of a mountain in Kathmandu, levitating 3 feet above the ground, I wrote this book because I have made every mistake in it half a dozen times over. Okay. And my goal was to act as a sensei, to act as a mentor and a guide, to try and show you a path so that you could avoid some of the well-worn pitfalls. And I think it's important also from the jump for me, that if I was going to put myself in the position of being a teacher, I didn't want the book to come off as being preachy, and I didn't want it to be kind of a know-it-all. And I felt that the way to achieve that was by sharing some very vulnerable truths about myself and my story, to show you that, I'm just a guy trying to figure it out too. I have my struggles and my challenges, and I continue to have them. And, as much as I'm hopefully able to help and teach you in this book, I'm learning right along with you. And writing the book was an invaluable learning process for me that continues when I hear from all of you that have read the book and give me your input. So it's a very reciprocal relationship.
To that point, Sean, August on the Amazon Live said, I want to say thank you all so much for joining us over on Amazon Live. Definitely feel free, if you have not done so already, click below to be able to get the book or on the side, as I mentioned earlier. August says this, Sean. Hi,
Hey,
Sean.
August.
Amazing book. Helped me make amazing changes. Speaking of you, August says he does amazing motivational messages and not giving up on people. And I think that is a big thing. I mean, people feel inspired by you, Sean. And so, about patience, something that you mentioned is not easy. You say this in the book, for those who have the print edition on pages 96 and 97, about some tips. Two of the tips are: one, reframe your thinking before your impatience grows. Recognize the temporary nature by challenging your hasty negative assumptions with a more positive spin. Don't let frustration get the better of you by being so attached to the immediacy of reacting. Simply put, cool your jets. The second thing I wanted to mention was this: you can choose to be patient or not. Remember, the second pillar that comprises the way of the Cobra is optimization. Cobras choose appropriate and best reactions at that moment. And I want to talk about that because, again, a lot of times it is not what we do or what we say, it's how we do it and the way it's done. And then the regret that can come afterwards. How has that helped you to understand that, you know what, being able to take a step back to assess can really make us better at whatever it is that we're trying to do?
Well, there's a lot to unpack there. So, first of all, you mentioned the second pillar of Way of the Cobra, which is optimization.
Yeah.
Look, along with control being a myth, another myth is perfection.
Hmm.
Things are never perfect. And so, optimization refers to making the optimal choice with the elements that are in front of you. Okay. So often people get paralyzed with taking action because they're waiting for everything to be perfect. Things are never perfect. They're not perfect with relationships and people. They're not perfect with circumstances.
Right.
And General George S. Patton said that a good plan today, executed with audacious violence, is better than an excellent plan tomorrow. Now, he was a soldier, so we can exclude the violence part. But the point is, it's more important to take action rather than, wait for everything to be perfect. I also think that, you don't want to get wrapped up in the results. Stay out of the results game. I'll give you a perfect example. I
Okay.
audition for things all the time. And I stay out of the results of am I going to get the role or not, because that is out of my control. What is in my control is giving the absolute best audition I can, having fun with it, making sure that I'm bringing all the elements to the audition that I want. And once I finish the audition, it's out of my hands. And it's not always easy to separate myself emotionally from putting the work in, because so much of an actor's life is spent pursuing work, and we want the job. But
Right.
it's really helped me to stay out of the results. And the other half of staying out of the results is that you have to do the work. In other words, if you give it 100%, if you do all the work, if you're prepared and you execute to the best of your ability at that moment in time, giving your optimal performance at that moment in time, and divorce yourself from the results, it tends to eliminate a lot of the anxiety and helps make the patience a little more come a little more easily.
Yeah. And I think, again, that is the big lesson for us. Last thing I want to mention, Sean, from the book, and we're going to remind our audience how they can get it, and of course, how they can stay connected with you. And this is something, again, as you taking on the role of sensei in this book, you talk about mentorship, the importance
Yeah,
of finding a mentor. How
yeah.
important has that been for you to have someone? Because, like you said, we don't have all the answers. We don't know it all. And just like people are learning from you in this book, we can learn from others. How important has that realization been?
Mentorship is critical. I mean, I mentioned what a profound impact it had on me as
Hmm.
this insecure young kid watching film, and those were my earliest mentors. And as I've gone through life, I've been fortunate to have numerous other mentors. Muhammad Ali said that service is the rent that we pay for our place on earth, and mentorship is a huge part of service. And the mentor-mentee relationship is incredibly important. It's an important way of giving back, because you may very well someday be asked to be a mentor, and that is at the foundation of the way of the Cobra, which is learning what you can and then paying it forward by helping someone else. Most great relationships throughout history have had a mentor-mentee component, whether it's Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, whether it's Plato and Aristotle, or even Michelangelo, and he had a mentor named Ghirlandaio, who was an older sculptor who taught him. It's really critical. A mentor can save you massive amounts of time making certain mistakes that you would probably otherwise make. And it's not that you don't need to make some mistakes to learn firsthand, but you don't need to make all of them. You know what I mean? Mentors are critical at helping you network, introducing you to other people that can help you in your journey. So for me, I think if you don't already have a mentor, my book is an excellent starting point for someone who can be a mentor to you. I have taken the best information that I've received throughout my life. Some of my mentors are people that I have known. Others have been people that I've never met, like Anthony Robbins. And I've encapsulated the very best of that information along with my own to act as a mentor for you.
Yeah, and that's what's so powerful. And you gave us a great setup for this book. When you and I last connected when I was in Los Angeles, Sean, it was with your book Success Factor X, and there you shared some powerful examples of other people. Now here you are in this book, again taking on that role of teacher, being able to help us through your own experiences. For people who are just now finding out about Way of the Cobra, for those who are just now watching this segment, what do you hope this book does for them?
I hope that first and foremost, it inspires you to get out of your comfort zone, to smash the status quo that is your life, and to become the very best version of yourself that's possible. A large part of that is clarity. Clarity comes from defining your definition of success. Really quickly, you and I probably all share lots of common denominators that we need to feel successful: loving relationships, work that inspires and feeds us, a feeling of connectivity to the rest of the world. But there's certain things in my life that I need to feel successful that, Cyrus, you might not need, and all the other people out there. So you've got to get really clear with what your definition of success is, and be clear with the fact that, be clear with what it's not. Success is not the bloated Instagram feed of celebrities parading their conspicuous consumption on their feed. It's not the airbrushed covers of models on fitness magazines that give us, impossibly difficult physical views of what we have to look like. And it's not the commercials we're bombarded with 24/7 on TV that's saying you have to buy this or that to be successful. If material acquisition and monetary gain were the only barometer of success, then a spectacular portion of the population would be deemed unsuccessful. Okay. You just got to get clear with what it is that you need to be successful. Then you need to come up with a plan to achieve that. So from the book, if you can get clarity about where it is that you want to go, if you can get inspired, and if you can digest this information and then pass it on to the people in your life so they can do the same, that would be everything that I could have hoped for with the book.
Awesome. A couple more points here. I want to say hello to you, Brian, over on the Amazon Live side. Brian, thank you so much for the follow. JLH, thank you so much for the follow as well. Brian does have a question for you. It's
Sure.
Going back to the acting side. Sean, if you don't mind, Brian says, Sean, what's harder for you to learn? Dialogue for a daytime TV show or feature film? And also wants to know what it's like working with Bruce Willis.
Okay. Generally speaking, it's more difficult for daytime because on a film, you're probably only going to be doing 7 or 8 pages a day. That's one of the benefits of film. It moves more slowly. It takes a lot longer to light scenes in film, because in daytime, there's basically like a giant lighting grid above you, so they don't have to light every scene, which takes hours to do. So in daytime, the entire cast will do probably 60 or 70 pages a day. Now, I won't be involved in all those, but this last Friday I had 31 pages. So that's a lot of dialogue to learn. I did 2 films at the beginning of last year with Bruce Willis. I did Survive the Game and The Fortress in Puerto Rico. It was an incredible honor to work with Bruce. Obviously I'm a guy that grew up watching all of his films, and have been a big fan for years, and was incredibly honored to be able to work with him.
No. And August says, thank you, Sean, for always being real and supportive. And August wants to know something you and I talked about before we went live here, Sean. Any update on Studio City?
Yes, Studio City. We have completed 6 new episodes, and they are most likely going to be coming out either the end of this week or the beginning of next week. So they'll be out very shortly. We're really proud of them. You're going to see a lot of familiar faces, and you're going to see some new faces. Character arcs have continued to develop. Some characters that had very small roles last season now have greatly enhanced roles, and I can't wait for everybody to see it.
Yeah. Well, if they missed the first season, I mean, so many great stories and characters, of course, Sean, in that. So looking forward to seeing what's next. Again, everyone, Sean Kanan has been our guest. The book is Way of the Cobra. It's available there on Amazon. You guys can get it both. They have the Kindle edition there, highlighted, as well as the paperback. I'm going to highlight that as well. Make sure you guys get your copy of the book once you've read it. Make sure you guys leave a review for Sean so he knows how the book impacted you. And definitely make sure you guys tell a friend. And Sean, how can they stay connected with you, man?
You can follow me on Instagram at sean.kanan. You can follow Way of the Cobra on Instagram, and you can also follow Studio City Show on Instagram, or you can follow me on Twitter, which is at Sean Kanan. And I just want to say one thing before we wrap up. I do a lot of these podcasts, and of course, as a guy that wrote a book, I want to sell books. That's just a reality. But the truth is that with all of my heart and soul, I know that the information in this book has the ability to help people. And I really want to get this into as many people's hands as possible. And if you do get the book and you like it, please tell a friend about it. I'm doing my absolute best to try and make this a movement. I'm already outlining a follow-up book to Way of the Cobra. And, if you feel stuck, if you feel that you're having trouble sort of reintegrating back into life after the pandemic, if you're experiencing challenges and fears, I'm telling you, this is the book for you. It can really help you.
Awesome. I totally agree with that, Sean. Congratulations to you again. And thank you so much for being generous with your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Take care, everyone. It was a blast.
All right. And we thank you all for watching this episode of Cyrus Webb Presents. Until next time, you all make it a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.